28, 2007.
I'd first like to thank Illinois cops and all members of the law enforcement community for honoring our fallen officers at this event and others that I know will go on forever without an end. I've been endlessly amazed at the way the members of these organizations here today embody such an amazing feeling of family, respect, and honor for all those that serve our communities and keep us safe. When I was first figuring out what to say here today, I quickly realized that I don't need to come up with anything new at all. When I think about my brother Brian and his line of duty death in October of 2007, and I think about all those who have so recently lost a loved one that they loved so dearly, I can see that my family and our friends have been writing this speech for the past 5.5 years. All I have to do is come up here and tell you our story. But I can't look at my parents. The McMillen family story. I remember sitting in those chairs out there for the first time not so long ago. At that moment, I was not in sad mode. I was not in angry mode. I was not in, "Are my parents doing okay" mode. Instead, I was wondering, where am I? What had just happened? What does all this mean? There were tears, hugs, bagpipes, lights, sirens, and speeches, brave, scared, sad, and hopeful faces. Such a mix of feelings that I didn't know what to think. And as any survivor knows, no one can tell you how you should feel. There are no timelines or on-off switches, just this ebb and flow of feelings, just change at any moment. But I can tell you, though, what was the most helpful for me at that time was when others got up here or they talked to me in person and shared their experiences and offered a message of courage and strength and hope for the future, despite the worst of what they'd seen. The McMillen family story can be summed up in a series of moments. These pieces in our lives where we found strength in unexpected places, where we felt the presence of Brian helping us in our daily lives. For I believe when those we love can no longer guide us with their hands, they guide us through our hearts. For us, his mother sees Brian sometimes at night, just before she wakes, saying, "Don't cry, Mom, everything is just fine." And then she feels a hug that she knows is not just imagination. His wife Angela sees him as she carries out her dreams with such passion and strength after experiencing such tragedy. She still feels his resounding belief that she can achieve so much more than she'd ever thought. She embodies a phrase that we often heard after Brian's death that said, "If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it." We see him when my 3-year-old son says, "Why is Uncle Brian standing behind his truck?" And you know he's telling the truth in what he sees. And he knows that he now has to be a good boy for the rest of his life. My brother sees him when training to serve our country as a pararescue jumper. And he doesn't have the breath for the last 25 meters, but he makes it because he feels the encouragement of his brother cheering him on at the end. And now he knows there is nothing he cannot do. When two parents in their 50s have the strength and courage to bike 300 miles over 4 days for Illinois Concerns of Police survivors, because they know Brian will be with them on the ride, and they know that so many others, like you today, need their help too. When a 14-year-old boy talks about seeing the good in people while they're alive and emphasizing the need to tell them that before they die, at the age of 14, because his older brother taught him that 5 years ago. When nieces and nephews remind you every night to say a prayer for Uncle Brian because even though they never met him, they knew exactly what he stood for. We see him at the memorial run each year when cousins and friends who've never run a race before turn and say, "I've never run a race before. I don't even know why I should, but I know what this race is about. And now I told myself I had to do it." Now they've improved their entire quality of life through exercise and have a great new outlook for the future. Finally, when another officer hears Brian's voice from the past saying, "Come on, we can go do this," and he finds the courage to go out and do the difficult task once again just to make sure we're all safe, just like they had done together so many times before. You know, a family friend once shared a story that asked, "Why do bad things happen? Why is there suffering in this world?" And to that God said, "Don't be sad. For suffering you see unlocks the love in people's hearts. Look at how people come together, drop their differences, and show love and compassion for all those who suffer. It is no longer locked up inside their hearts and absent from this world. All their motivations disappear and they become motivated by love alone. It is truly the greatest miracle of all. I'm here today in part to represent Illinois Concerns of Police Survivors organization, and I can tell you that this organization transforms suffering into great compassion. It truly unlocks the love in people's hearts. Never has an organization been so united in making sure any family member who loses an officer has the support they need to turn tragedy into triumph. And they do this through action, not through words. They hug strangers at visitations, bike long miles in incredible heat to raise money, take personal time to travel with families to memorials like this today, drive through the night just to hold a hand and tell someone it would be okay. And they, along with the Illinois State Police, who's always taken care of my family. You know, it is sometimes said that when a loved one passes on, they leave a lot of unfinished work. One of the most incredible things that I have come to believe is that our loved one is a carrier of seeds. And when he or she leaves us so unexpectedly, those seeds get tossed up into the air, and they quickly scatter, and they become planted in the hearts of so many more. No one may have realized it at the time, but it's too late, I tell you. You are the carrier of the seed. My only rationalization for the loss of my brother is that only the best are taken from us, because the collective good inspired in each of his family and friends is so much more powerful than he could ever do alone. Over time, we've accepted this challenge and we wear it on our sleeve for all to see. He will not be forgotten, and the sacrifice will never be left without action. We will move forward, we will help, we will show love, and we will always honor him and all the names who are printed on those walls right behind you. In closing, I'd like to leave you with some of the words of my brother, so they may inspire you on your journey to transform your life and honor your loved one. Brian gave a speech as president of his graduating cadet class for the Illinois State Police in 2007. While he intended this message for his peers and his classmates, I feel its central idea speaks to how each of you, as survivors, may be feeling right now. This time has been full of change, learning, and growing. While this left many of us wondering just what we got ourselves into, it also brought a realization that there was about to be a rapid change in our everyday lifestyles. All of us came here today leading very different lives. Some were from rural areas, some from cities, and some were twice the age of others. But as these days progressed, we became oriented to this new environment. We identified these differences and we began to figure out what all these people were really all about. We also found that we share a variety of qualities, such as courage, character, leadership, and service. I feel I've been able to learn something from each and every one of you. Many have experienced life-changing events, deaths in the family, the arrival of newborns, engagements, and weddings. Without the support we have from our loved ones, life would have been much tougher for us all. I'm sure there are parts of this journey we'd rather forget, but all of these memories, good and bad, will stay with us for some time. But it is the relationships, however, that will last so much longer. My brother's experience may not be all that different from the journey you find yourself on right now. All of us came from very different backgrounds, but we each saw our lives quickly change, and we now find ourselves together on this shared journey. We all carry that seed. May we all act together to support one another and provide a message of strength and hope to all the survivors we meet along the way. Thank you.